Hey, welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you're doing well. So, it has been announced the finalists of the Grand Prix de Horologie de Geneve, or the GPHG, have been announced. The finalists for each of the categories have been announced by the GPHG committee, and they are now going to be going on tour for the 2019 picks. They'll be going on tour so the individuals can see these watches and decide. The jury can decide which watch wins each of the category. If you are not really familiar with the GPHG, it's a big award ceremony that takes place in Geneva, and they pick some of the best watches from the calendar year, and in various categories. And so they've released their shortlist for the finalists, and the winners are going to be announced on November 7th. So we have a little bit of time between now and when that occurs, but what I thought I would do in this video is discuss the categories and what I would pick for each of the category. This is obviously my opinion. These are, my tastes, my understanding of the watches that have been shortlisted for each of these categories. So I'm sure you're going to have differing opinions. That's totally fine. I would love to hear about which watches you would pick for each of these categories. There are 14 categories. There are 84 watches that are being assessed, and a jury of individuals picked by the GPHG decide the winners, and I thought I would go through my picks. So just before we get into that, if you are new to Life on the Wrist, welcome to Life on the Wrist. We create videos about watches, just about any topic that you can think of, so definitely hit that subscribe button, and while you're by that subscribe button, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It does help us out with the YouTube algorithm, and it's probably how you stumbled upon us at Life on the Wrist. So definitely like this video if you enjoyed it, or you want to share this type of content with people that you like, so that really would help us out. And without further ado, let's get into the categories. So the first category is the ladies watch. There are a lot of really great ladies watches. I am super excited about ladies watches. I love the fact that they're getting more attention, especially because having a lady who's interested in watches is definitely a really cool thing. So the one that I chose was the Moritz Grossman Tefnut Arabian Nights Milanaise. This watch I'll put up pictures of each of the watches, but this watch has an absolutely beautiful dial. I think it's extremely elegantly done with the way in which the diamonds are set, which is oftentimes done in quite a garish and in-your-face way, but I really like the way that they're very elegantly set. I also love the fact the lugs on this watch are extremely unique. It only has the lugs on the one side, which is kind of cool, or it looks like it's attached on the one side. So really cool watch, and is definitely my pick for the ladies category. The next category is the ladies Complication. Again, super into ladies watches. I love the fact that people are experimenting within the ladies in the ladies sector of of the watch industry, and it comes as no surprise as the watch that I chose. The watch that I chose is the MB&F Flying T. I absolutely adore MB&F as a company, as a brand, as a design, just a group of individuals who are designing extremely cool pieces. It has this crazy stacked movement with the tourbillon, and it's one of my favorite companies of all time, and I think it's definitely at the top of my list when it comes to the ladies Complication. And just so you know, I apologize for not speaking about each one of these categories and which watches were announced, but I'm just going to pick my winners, but I'll be sure to put in the description a link to all of the watches that have been nominated, or I guess all the ones that are being assessed. So for the ladies Complication, I would vote for the MB&F Flying T. The next category is the men's, similar to the ladies, and for this category I picked the Buthune DB28 yellow tones. I think this Buthune has a very it's a smaller company that doesn't make as many pieces, which is nice. I also think it's amazing the design, the way in which they've created these cases to be so unique, and doesn't really look like any other type of watch that you're going to come across. They have these amazing movements, and the case design is absolutely amazing. The movement design is also really cool. It's almost like a starship, which is cool. It's a very, very unique watch, and I think it's definitely something that I would vote for. But I would like to give an honorable mention to the Grand Seiko Spring Drive from Baselworld. I did a video on this watch, and I think it's one of the coolest watches that came out of Baselworld, and I'm so happy that Grand Seiko is getting recognition for the amazing work that they are doing there. They really are coming to into their own, and really, you know, staking their claim within the watch industry, which is really great. The next category is the men's complication, and for this one I would be voting for the Ulysee Nardin Freak X. It's a really cool tourbillon with this flying carousel movement, and has this oversized oscillator in silicon, so extremely unique. I don't think this has ever been done. I don't think a flying carousel has ever been done. A flying carousel movement with an oversized oscillator, I don't think that's ever been done previously. So I think that's one. It's a step forward within the watch industry, which is something that I think is extremely important, especially because companies might be, you know, you don't want to be resting on your laurels and just selling the same watches over and over again from the past 30 years. I think this is the Ulysee Nardin trying to move the watch industry forward, which I really appreciate. And they've created an absolute beautiful piece with the Freak X. It's unique, it's moving the watch industry forward, it's basically everything that I think is really cool about watches, so that would be my pick for the men's complication. The next category is the iconic category, and for this one I would pick the IWC Tribute to Pallweber edition 150 years. It's extremely simple. It's a very, very simple watch, but I absolutely adore it. It has this jump hour complication, and I mean, what more can be said? This is such an elegantly done watch from an absolutely great watch house in IWC. It's classic, it's simple. That's what makes it really stand out for me, and that's what I would be voting for. The next category is the Chronometry, Chronometry category, and for this one I picked the Zenith Defy Inventor. The reason why I did this is because they have created this new type of movement which is considered more accurate. It has almost like a vibrating spring inside of it. If you look at it, it's extremely cool it's kind of mesmerizing when you're looking at it. The reason why I chose this is because it's created and it's one, moving the watch industry forward by creating something new, a new way of regulating time, and it also is trying to move forward the chronometry, which has to do with the accuracy of these timepieces. And I think Zenith has done an absolutely beautiful job by creating this you know, this watch that's moving the watch industry forward. Its aim is to be more accurate, and the finishing is absolutely beautiful. It's a really nice shape as well. I think it would fit extremely well on the wrist. I haven't had the opportunity to do so, to have it on my wrist, but I definitely put it up there, and that's why it would have my vote for the chronometry category. The next the next category is the calendar and astronomy category. This one basically has to do with I mean, there are some absolutely stunning pieces within this category, and it was very hard for me to choose, but I decided to choose the Girard Perreguax Cosmos. It has an absolutely beautiful 3D dial with a tourbillon, the zodiac complication on one side, and then a globe on the other. I think these 3D designs that are coming into their own with companies like Jacob & Co. and some others, I think that is it's kind of where the modern watches are going, and I think this is a perfect example. It's absolutely beautifully laid out. The proportions of each of the parts of the dial was extremely well done, and I mean, you just look at this and you almost fall in love. So that would be my pick from a great watch house, like I said, Girard Perreguax. That would be my pick for the calendar and astronomy category. The next category is the mechanical exception, and this one I've already voted for this company previously, this watch manufacturer previously in the men's complication, but I will be giving the mechanical exception to the Ulysee Nardin Freak next. The reason why I'm doing this is they have this flying oscillator made in silicon with this virtual with this virtual pivot axis, which is I don't think it's very hard to explain just in a video like this, but if you are interested in this watch, look up the Ulysee Nardin Freak next. They basically have this flying oscillator which is made out of silicon with this virtual pivot axis, which actually eliminates the friction that occurs within this movement, which means there's going to be less wear on the movement and increase the accuracy of the movement. This obviously increases the longevity of the movement as well. And this has all been done, this is all part of the movement, but it also is an absolutely beautiful watch to look at, which again, it's you can make these mechanical adjustments and make these changes to improve the watch very, very simply. But in order to do that in an elegant way, to make it look like it would be something that people would be interested in buying, it's a difficult feat to master. And I think Ulysee Nardin has had a great year with the watches that they have produced, especially with this Freak Next. So definitely look this watch up if you're interested in it. It's a step forward for sure with us in the watch industry, which I really like. Like I've said previously, it is moving us forward as the watch industry, and is my pick for the mechanical exception category. The next category is the chronograph, and for this one I chose the Louis Monet Chronosphere. Again, aesthetically it has an absolutely beautiful dial. It also has a 10-second retrograde function, which is extremely beautiful. It's also perfectly done, and chronographs is actually one of the most complicated, one of the hardest complications to produce. It's got a lot of moving parts, and is considered to be one of the hardest things for a watchmaker to learn and to master. And I think Louis Monet, I've spoken about their watches previously on other videos. This is just Louis Monet doing exactly what they always do: create exceptional watches with amazing complications, and are definitely my pick for the chronograph category. The next the next category is the diver category, which is obviously one that's certainly on many people's mind, especially with this movement in the watch industry right now, where people love stainless steel sports watches in general. And for this one I picked the Resonance Type 5. The reason why I did this is simply because of the functionality of it. I also think it looks beautiful, the fact that there are no hands that cross, but mechanically speaking, this is the only mechanical watch that has no internal refraction, which means it's 100% readable underwater, which is very unlike companies that make divers otherwise. The reason for this is because they have they basically put oil underneath not oil, I believe it's oil. They put that underneath the dial, which allows for means the refraction isn't going to occur. And I think that really does speak to the category itself. It is a diver's watch category. It's moving the diver watches forward, which is cool, and it's doing so in a mechanical way as opposed to a analog way, which is obviously what the GPHG is all about. So the Resonance Type 5 would be my pick for the divers category. Now I'm going to skip the jewelry category and the artistic category, simply because I couldn't really pick. I don't think I'm that much of an expert when it comes to those types of things. I think those are extremely personal. So I'll put the link in the description to the finalists, but and you're welcome to figure out which ones you would pick for these two categories. Let me know in the comments what you would pick, and perhaps I'll tell you what what's kind of spoke to me a little bit more. But I skipped those two categories. The next category is the challenge category. This is a watch that's under $4,000, and I think I'm between two watches here. I'm between the Tudor Black Bay P01 or the Seiko Presage porcelain dial. The reason being, I think the Tudor Black Bay P01, it was one of the biggest watches to be released at Basel World for sure. I also think that you're getting a wonderful watch from Tudor, from a company that's really on really coming into its own within the watch industry in the recent years, and also has an amazing movement inside of it. I believe it's in-house, so great watch, and definitely would be one of my picks. The Seiko Presage is no different. I think it's an absolutely beautiful watch from a great company in Seiko. I guess it's really your choice on how much money you are willing to spend for, you know, each of the watches. So I'm leaning towards the Black Bay PO1. And the next one, the last category that I'll be discussing, excuse my French, this is the Petite Aiguille. This is a category that are watches between 4,000 and 10,000 Swiss francs. And for this one, I chose the Zenith Type 20 Silver. This was another difficult choice. I think the reason why it's so difficult is because there's so many great watches within these price ranges, and this is no exception, but I decided to choose the Zenith Type 20 Silver simply because I think Zenith, I've picked them for the Defy Inventor, for the Chronometry category, but I think Zenith is really moving the watch industry forward. I think it's an absolutely beautiful piece to look at. I think there's a lot of time and effort put into the dial with the silver finish, and Zenith creates amazing watches. It really does. That would be my pick for the, if I had, you know, between $4,000 and $10,000, that would definitely be the watch that I picked. So those are all the categories. I did skip 2, so you're looking at, you know, I went through 12 picks that I would vote for the GPHG for 2019. Let me know what you think about my picks and what picks you would, which watches you would choose for each of these categories. Would love to hear your thoughts. Again, this is my opinion. This is not, you know, what the world thinks. This is one person's opinion, and I think I picked watches that really spoke to me the most, and the ones that I understand to be the best watches, which is ultimately what GPHG is attempting to pick. But again, there's a jury that's going to be deciding which are the winners, and you know, they'll kind of stamp the watches within the, you know, the history of the GPHG. So if you've made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the picks and the type of content that we're creating. Like I said, leave me a comment with anything that we've discussed in this video. Really would help us out. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time,